Hi there, Smart Driver, talking to you today about why it is easier and more relaxed to take your driver's test in the winter time. And there are many reasons why you should not postpone your test until next spring. Hi there, everyone. Welcome to the live stream. Marion is here. A few other people are here tuning in. Let us know where you're tuning in from. Let us know what class of license you're going for, how we can help you out. We can answer all your questions about driving, winter driving especially, because most of the the eastern United States, east of the Mississippi, and Canada are in winter time and snow and ice on the roadways. Many videos and clips coming across Twitter and TikTok and the other social media platforms about all of the perils of driving in the wintertime. And of course, there are the myths and lies about winter driving. Many people saying that fatal crashes increase in the wintertime, which is not true. It's false. It's wrong. Most fatal crashes happen in the summertime. June, July, and August in North America are the 100 deadliest days of the year when most fatal crashes happen. It is actually safer to drive in the wintertime if you have a skill set. And this is one of the reasons why I'm encouraging you not to postpone your driver's test until next spring, owing to the fact that if you learn how to drive, take your driver's test in the wintertime, you're going to have a higher skill set because you're going to know how to use the steering wheel, the brake, and the accelerator when the vehicle begins to break loose. You're going to know what it's like when you don't have traction and you're going around a corner and there's a bit of snow and ice and those types of things. The other bit of that, or the other piece of information that you need to keep in mind is if roads are bad and it is snowing and it's icy, the test center is going to postpone your driver's test. It will not take you out for your driver's test if conditions are too treacherous. They know you do not have a high skill level. Therefore, they're not going to take you out for the driver's test. They will postpone it. Other reasons, stick around for that. Corey is here, Bricks for Wheels. Hello, Corey. Ski, good afternoon, sir, from Abbotsford. Hello. And Marion, Abbotsford, the floodwater's gone down a bit now, so it is raining on the west coast. We have not summer-like conditions, but we have spring-like conditions here in the interior of British Columbia, but everybody else, I was talking to my mom in southwestern Ontario, and she says they have 3 or 4 feet of snow. Now, they're going to get a bit of reprieve on that because the temperature's going up above freezing for the next 3 days, but Montreal, eastern seaboard of the United States, everything east of the Mississippi is getting snow and ice, and they are in the throes of winter. This is very unusual for us here in the interior not to have winter conditions or have snow, and even to the point where the ski hill postponed opening until I think it was last week that they didn't open, which is very unusual that they didn't get snow up on the mountain until and didn't have enough snow until well into December to open. Usually they end up usually Silver Star and Big White open late in November, not early December. Retired, my friend, how are you? Yes, thank you for that, and as well to everybody else. And this will be the last live stream before the holidays. I don't know whether I'm taking a week off or 2 weeks off, but I do know for sure there won't be a live stream next week, owing to the fact that the kids and I are going to Montreal to spend Christmas with friends, dear friends in Montreal. So I'm very much looking forward to that because they actually have winter there, and you know, Christmas is about winter and snow and ice and cold and tobogganing and hot chocolate and those types of things. So that's what we're doing. Marion, no, the rain is not reaching us here at all. I mean, we've got a bit of rain, but nothing compared to what they have in Vancouver, that's for sure. So no, the rain is not making it over the mountains, but you know, it is what it is. It's a crazy year for us here in the interior of British Columbia. And like I said, we're not getting snow, but we are talking about snow. We are talking about how to help people drive better in the ice and snow in the wintertime. Many comments from last week's live stream that I reposted on the weekend. People talking about winter tires. And yes, if you can put winter tires on your vehicle and you are traveling outside of the cities, then I do recommend that. If you are traveling inside the city, it's not necessary that you put winter tires per se on your vehicle. However, have good quality all-season tires that are either M&S rated or the Three Peak Mountain snowflake symbol. And I have had people leave comments that the M&S, the M+S mud and snow tires are not as good as the Three Peak snowflake symbol. I have never heard that before. People have said that, and they're going on their own experience of tires, so I have to take them at their experience, because like I said, I haven't heard that. I do know that what happened when Quebec, British Columbia, other states required you to have quote unquote winter tires to travel on certain highways, that the tire manufacturers simply got around that by stamping their tires with the Three Peak Mountain snowflake symbol and the M&S rated symbol on the tires. This is how auto manufacturers got around it, right? They're still all-season tires. Now, if you want really good winter tires, you have to get a dedicated winter tire, and I am of the opinion that Michelin X-Ice are one of the better winter tires. Other people have said Blizzak is a good one, and if you are watching now or watching on the replay, leave a comment down in the comment section there about the brand of winter tires that you use on your vehicle. As well, if you're watching live, answer the question to the poll there about if you do in fact put winter tires on your vehicle, and it is recommended. And in some places, North Dakota, here in British Columbia, and other states and jurisdictions will allow steel-studded tires on your vehicle, and I do recommend those if you are running on hard pack or you're going up to the ski hill every day and those types of things. And Marion says that she has Michelin X-Ice on her 2017 HRV there in Vancouver, and I really like them. They have good handling, quality ride, and they provide excellent traction in the wintertime on snow and ice. So if you are looking for snow tires, the Michelin X-Ice are really quality tires to put on your vehicle, and they're not any more expensive than any of the other brands, you know, Firestone, Bridgestone, Yokohamas, those types of things. So let us know, as I said, what brand you put on your vehicle. So we're talking about today why you should not postpone your test in the wintertime and we're talking about why you shouldn't postpone your test until next spring, and you should take it now. And also, in addition to getting your driver's test in the wintertime, look at the playlist. Corey will put that up for you in the comments there. I'll put it down in the description for you. Willie's driving lessons. Willie learned how to drive in the wintertime. And out of 6 driving lessons that I've recorded here with that playlist, there's only one day that we were actually out in real snow in the wintertime. And this is what I was saying earlier about the fact that if you take your test in the wintertime, the roads are going to be clear. It doesn't snow all the time in the wintertime. It only snows 6 or 8 times in the wintertime. I mean, unless you're living where my mom's living right now, where they seem to be getting snow every day. However, as I said, most of the time in the wintertime, the roads are going to be cleared. They're going to be plowed, well sanded, well salted, those types of things. And the main roads are going to be cleared first. It's only when you get into the suburbs and the back roads that you're going to encounter snow and ice, and you know, it could be a little bit dicey and slippery and those types of things. But you know, just go slow, take your time. Corey's put up the playlist with Willie there. You can watch what he's doing and learn how to drive. So we'll talk about all of that. 1569. I took my road test in December 2023. I passed the first time. Awesome. And did you experience any snow, any ice when you took your test there 2 years ago in the wintertime? So again, I'm encouraging you to take it in the wintertime. There's other reasons, okay? Driving examiners are less stressed in the wintertime. It's easier to get a test date because people are postponing their driver's test. Driving examiners are less stressed because they're not as busy as they are in the summertime. The summertime is the busiest time for taking a driver's test. The reason it's busy in the summertime is because everybody's off school and they're going and getting their test done. And also they think that, you know, it's just easier to drive in the summertime, which is not, you know, it's a myth about getting your driver's test done. There's less traffic on the roadways. Vulnerable road users are not out for the most part. People are not walking around. People are not riding their bicycles. People aren't on e-scooters and those types of things. So there's less traffic on the roadways. The test in the wintertime is less exact. You don't have to get 6 to 8 inches from the curb when you're parallel parking. You just have to get in behind the car in front of you. You don't have to stop at the correct stopping position at stop sign intersections, before the stop line, before the crosswalk or sidewalk, and if those two conditions don't exist, before the edge of the intersection, so just before entering the box of the intersection. In the wintertime, if there's snow piled up and there's snowbanks, you just have to stop before the sidewalk, check and make sure there aren't any pedestrians, creep out until you can see, and then proceed when the way is clear, and do not go unless you can absolutely see in the wintertime. In addition to that, all cars in this day and age, I know that there are people who come back to me and say, oh, rear-wheel drives are more common than people think. They are not. That is fallacy. Again, another myth, another lie. I mean, somebody said to me the other day that their rear-wheel drive vehicle was rear-wheel drive. Well, yes, it is, because of simplicity and because of cost. It's easy to put the electric motor in the back of the car, stick 2 wheels on either end of the spindles, and boom, Bob's your uncle, away you go in an electric vehicle. They're not going to make it all-wheel drive and add exponential amount of cost to an electric vehicle. In addition to that, electric vehicles are super heavy, so rear-wheel drive works. But rear-wheel drive vehicles, and it's an inferior technology. It's old technology, right? I mean, we still have it around on some vehicles and those types of things. But for the most part, in this day and age, anything after 2000 is going to be front-wheel drive, 4-wheel drive, or it's going to be all-wheel drive. Even the buggy, the 1998 Honda CR-V I drive, which is 27 years old now, is real-time 4-wheel drive, which all that means is that it's front-wheel drive most of the time. However, if the computer detects wheel spin, it'll kick in the 4-wheel drive. So you've got 4-wheel drive in the buggy. And it's, as I said, it's 27 years old. There you go. 27 years old, and it's real-time 4-wheel drive. So you're going to have all kinds of traction. In addition to that, tires are exponentially better than they were even 30 years ago in terms of technology and ability to provide traction on your vehicle. Gavin, Corey put up the first video with Gavin. It's a long video. It's the full driving lesson with Gavin. We were out in February and it was snowing, and went around the corner and broke traction on his vehicle, which he was borrowing his aunt's SUV to drive. You know, after I got out of the car, because I didn't really look at the car when I got in it, I figured everything was okay. But after we got out of the car, I put my hand down on the tires to feel the tread on the tires. There wasn't any tread. The tires were bald, and we're driving around in the snow, and it had good traction. I mean, it did break loose a couple of times, but good traction on these vehicles. So you're going to be fine taking your driver's test in the wintertime. Retired, you took your driver's test in 1980? I think that was about when I took my driver's test too. How old was I in 1980? Yeah, 16? No, 14. I would have been 14. So I took my driver's test when I was 17. So that would have been 83, 84. So you and I are the same, more or less the same vintage. Yes. Corey's put up the video with Gavin there. And again, another lesson in the snow. You're going to have plenty of traction. Most of the time, the roads are going to be good in the winter time. Therefore, you're going to pass first time. And in addition to that, as I said, you're going to have a higher skill set because, inevitably, as you're learning how to drive, you're taking 10 or 15 driving lessons, or you're out with your mentor and you're driving around, you're going to get into snow. When you get into snow, you're going to feel what it feels like to push down the accelerator, turn the steering wheel too much, and you're going to lose traction on the vehicle, and you're going to figure out quite quickly that you got to take your foot off the throttle to get traction again, or you got to straighten out the steering wheel a little bit, or you get your foot off the brake. And also you'll experience what the ABS feels like when it engages during emergency braking situations. And what happens, you're coming up to the intersection, you hit a bit of snow and ice, and you push down on the brake pedal, you keep pushing down, the vehicle's not coming to a stop. And then right at the bottom of the brake pedal, the ABS engages and the brake pedal starts to shudder. There's grinding noise. There's pushback on the pedal. All this is normal for ABS. And I will tell all the smart drivers, if you have not experienced ABS on your vehicle, go out, somewhere in a parking lot, get it up to 30, 40 kilometers an hour, get it up to 20, 25 miles an hour, and then hammer on the brakes and experience what ABS feels like. Because the first time that it kicks in, it's a little bit odd, okay? So you want to know what that feels like. 1569, the only thing I had to deal with is that it was very cold outside when I took my test. Yes, and the colder it is when in the winter time, the more traction that you're going to have. It's slipperier in the winter time when the temperature is around freezing, around 32 degrees Fahrenheit, around 0 degrees Celsius. When the temperature is around freezing, it's much more slippery, owing to the fact that there is a layer of water on top of the snow and ice, lubricating the snow and ice and making it slippery. When it's super cold, as 1569 just said, there's even more traction, because that's exactly what winter tires are designed to do. Is they're designed to stay flexible in sub-zero temperatures. And when it's super cold out, the snow and ice is actually sticky and provides a higher level of traction. The reason for that is, think of it like ice cubes. When you first take ice cubes out of the freezer, they're sticky. And you put them on the counter, you let them sit there for a minute or two, and then all of a sudden, they go across the counter. The reason that they get slick is owing to the fact that they thaw. There's a layer of water on top of the ice cube or surrounding the ice cube, and then it's lubricated and it goes zinging across the counter. When you first take them out, they're sticky. And it's exactly what, if it's minus 20 out, ice and snow provides a higher coefficient of friction. In other words, you get more traction. And this is why there was a bus crash. I think it was northern Saskatchewan a week ago, and they were saying it was minus 37 degrees out. And of course, the police and other people who are not experts all said, oh, the weather had something to do with it. The weather didn't have anything to do with it. It's providing good traction. There is no reason that bus driver should have lost control. The bus driver lost control because he or she probably fell asleep, or they weren't paying attention and got the vehicle out of straight and lost control of the vehicle. There's still snow and ice, there's still compromised traction, but it's not nearly as bad as it would be if the temperature was around freezing. So when they say it's minus 37 out and they lost control on the roadway, they were doing something wrong, especially a professional bus driver or professional truck driver. Marion, oh, I hate that noise, frightens me a lot. The ABS kicking in. It's always good fun when it kicks in, because generally you're not expecting it, and then all of a sudden the vehicle is not coming to a stop. And then in addition to that, there's all this extra noise and pushback on the brake pedal. Yeah, it's just, it gets most people and catches most people off guard, especially when they're driving in the wintertime and they hit a bit of snow or ice. And, I've had it myself, and people have said that, I had one person actually comment on that to me, that, I wasn't paying attention, that I'm a lousy driver and probably driving around on crappy tires. On the video, they left a comment. And, sometimes I really contemplate whether I'm going to actually respond to some of these comments, because they're so asinine. I'm trying to help people by telling them my experience. And in my experience of driving for almost 40 years, things happen. You make mistakes. It's the same thing as saying that, a chef has never made a professional chef has never made a bad meal. It's like saying Gordon Ramsay has never made a bad meal in his life. I'm sure that he's made all kinds of bad meals, but that's how you get better and you get more experience at things. And if professionals, people who are teaching other people, can take their experience and share it with other people, then hopefully they're not going to make that same mistake. We can hope. So when people come back and criticize you for giving your experience to other people and helping them and hoping that they can learn from your experience of making a mistake, that's all part and parcel of teaching and being a good teacher, and saying to people, okay, here's my experience. This is what I learned from this experience. And hopefully I can give you some teaching and give you a leg up so that you don't have to experience that same thing. And this is what's going to happen with ABS brakes. You're going to get caught out every now and again. You're not paying attention. You're distracted. You're thinking about something else. You're in a hurry. Whatever is going on in your head when you're driving. And I have had these things happen. I have a video up here about getting caught out on snow and ice, and I put it up. I remember exactly what was happening. I was late getting the kids out the door to school, and I was running them to school and got up to the roundabout, hit the brakes, ABS engaged, and the car just kept going forward. And, but let off the brakes, moved the vehicle to the right, hit the brakes again, and got traction. I know what to do. I'm experienced enough to know what to do. And I've had other people come back to me about, don't let up on the throttle, you got to work the throttle kind of thing. If you get caught out and you start to lose control of the vehicle, that's fine if you know that you're on ice and snow, right? I know that I'm on ice and snow. I'm not going to take my foot off. I'm going to work the throttle a little bit. But if you get caught like I did when I spun out there a few years ago on ice on the highway, there's nothing you're going to do about that. You can't control that. That's what's going to happen. YT, I've taken my road test twice and failed both times. Third time is soon. That's awesome. YT, what was the feedback on taking your driver's test? What can we help you out with there to make sure that you get it on the next attempt, my friend? All right, so we'll get through the presentation here. It's 10 or 12 minutes. We'll get through that, then we'll come back and we'll spend the remainder of the hour answering questions about passing a driver's test, driving in the wintertime, defensive driving, and if anybody is going for a CDL license or thinking about becoming a bus or truck driver, we can definitely help you with that as well. Talking about learning how to drive in the wintertime, and I do encourage you to learn how to drive in the wintertime so that you have a higher skill set and that you can pass your driver's test with a bit of ease, less friction with the driving examiner, and you can have a higher skill set. You'll have better mastery of the primary controls, the steering wheel, the brake, and the accelerator. So I do encourage you to take your driver's test in the wintertime. In addition to all of that, there's lots of traction. Most of the time, 90% of the time, roads are going to be clear. There's not going to be any snow and ice on them. You're only going to get snow and ice 6 or 8 times a year. Of course, it depends on where you live. Obviously, if you live in North Dakota, you're probably going to get snow all the time. But for most places, here where I live right now in the interior of British Columbia, we don't have any winter-like conditions. We have rain. Same thing with Marion. There's no rain in Vancouver. There's no snow in Vancouver. There's no snow in Seattle, Washington. So it depends on where you are, whether you have snow and ice, and you have to deal with that in the wintertime. All right, for those of you new to Smart Drive Test, my name is Rick August. I was a truck driver in the 1990s. I hauled freight between Ontario, Canada, and the United States, mostly east of the Mississippi, but I did make it out to some of the Midwest and out to Los Angeles, California a couple of times. Did run into New York City with a tractor trailer up and down Broadway and whatnot, so I do have experience with all that. Drove buses for Greyhound while I was living in Australia in the early 2000s, going to university. 2006, I graduated with my doctorate degree in legal history, which is the study of policing, courts, and prisons. My expertise is in policing as it relates to traffic. 2015, I started the online YouTube channel and the business, and it has been wildly more successful than I could have ever imagined. And it seems with the sort of little revival of the YouTube channel that I kind of have the videos and the teaching cornered on winter driving. So we're helping a lot of people to drive safer, smarter in the wintertime, and hopefully with more confidence. All right, videos to have a look at. As I said, Corey's put up those videos for Willie in the wintertime and learning how to drive in the wintertime. Shoulder checking, shoulder checking, shoulder checking. If you want to pass your driver's test, this is the most common mistake. Despite what Google will tell you, Gemini and ChatGPT, it is not rolling through stop signs. If you are rolling through stop signs on a driver's test, that's just poor driver education. That it means and tells me that you as a student did not get the proper training that you should have gotten in order to prepare for your driver's test. The number one mistake, if you have taken driver education, is not shoulder checking. So learn how to do that. Easier driving test, 5 reasons why you should take your driver's test in the wintertime. Have a look at those. And for those of you watching on the replay, I will definitely put those down in the description for you. So have a look for those. Slipping and slide and learn advanced driving techniques by learning how to drive in the wintertime. Better mastery of the steering wheel, the brake, and the accelerator. In addition to that, braking and steering become two separate maneuvers in the wintertime. You have to brake and slow down first, and then you have to turn and steer around the corner. And the reason for that, a locked or spinning wheel always leads. In other words, if you are on the brakes, it's slippery conditions, and the wheels lock up and they're not turning, the vehicle will continue to go straight. It will not turn, and that is deemed understeering. In other words, when you turn the steering wheel and it continues to go straight, is understeering. So steering and braking have to become two separate actions in the wintertime. As well, learning to drive on slippery road conditions will help you to understand traction, the contact of the road, the contact of the tires with the road, and this will also help you to drive when it is raining and in other types of inclement weather in the wintertime. Poor visibility and light conditions, all this will help you to understand that in the wintertime. Traction, all vehicles in this day and age are four-wheel drive, front-wheel drive, or all-wheel drive. Provide optimum traction. Anything in the last 25 years is going to be any one of those three different drivetrains. Unless you're driving a Mustang GT or a Camaro, or you're driving an electric vehicle, it's not likely that you're going to experience rear-wheel drive. And the reason that you don't want to be driving a rear-wheel drive in the wintertime is you are going to be experiencing a lot of oversteering. Oversteering is when you turn the steering wheel, you accelerate, and then the back end of the vehicle comes around. And pickup trucks, when not in four-wheel drive, are susceptible to this. And there was a clip on Twitter the other day where the pickup truck comes around the corner going too fast on snow and ice and slides and, sideswipes a telephone pole. And the reason for that, curves, corners, and turns. The driver was going too fast. And the other problem with pickup trucks is the weight imbalance in the pickup trucks. All the weight is in the front, especially if it's a four-wheel drive, because in the front you've got the transfer case, the transmission, the engine. All the weight is focused in the front of the pickup truck. And in the back of the pickup truck, there's very little weight in terms of the weight ratio from front to back. And what happens when you go around a corner in a pickup truck, the back end kind of lifts up, especially if you touch the brakes at all, because most of the braking is done by the front brakes. The back end lifts up and you lose control and it starts to go sideways, because a locked or steering wheel always leads. And so know that if you are driving a pickup truck, get the thing slowed down. And there are many people who will come back to me and say, for winter conditions with pickup trucks, they will put a couple 300 pounds of sandbags over the back wheels in the pickup trucks. And it was the same thing when I was a kid. My dad did the same thing. He drove pickup trucks all the time. And of course, this was the days when you had real pickup trucks, like pickup trucks, and they were two-wheel drive. They were not four-wheel drive. So there was always sandbags that went in over the back wheels in the wintertime. Okay, don't be left out in the cold. Unlikely that you'll drive in a blizzard. As I said, if conditions are bad in the wintertime, the test center, the examiner, will postpone your test to another day when road conditions improve, and then they will take you out. Don't listen to the rhetoric. There are so many people out there that will say to you, oh, it's so dangerous to drive in the wintertime. You are going to die. You are taking your life in your own hands. You are fighting Satan himself. Do not drive in the wintertime. You will end up in the ditch. You will crash into a tree. You will explode in a fiery inferno. Don't drive in the wintertime. Don't listen to those people. Don't listen to the radio announcements about, oh my God, it's snowing out. We're all going to die. The world, the post-apocalypse. It's just, oh my God. It's garbage. And if you look at the actual traffic crash statistics in the United States of America, the states that don't have snow are the states with the highest crash rates. New Mexico, Louisiana, Mississippi, Arkansas. Those are the states with the highest crash rates. It's not Minnesota, Wisconsin, Chicago, Illinois. Those are not the states that get winter. They have the lowest crash rates. So don't listen to the rhetoric out there about the fact that you will die in the wintertime if you drive. Many, many, many people drive in the wintertime and survive and live to tell the tale and the story. So get your driver's license in the wintertime. As I said, there's also less traffic. There's fewer pedestrians. Hopefully, there's not very many people on bicycles and e-scooters and those types of things. So there's less traffic in the wintertime as well because the scaredy cats all stay home. You can be lackadaisical. The test is not as exact. You don't have to be 8 to 12 inches from the curb. You just have to get in behind the vehicle in front of you. You don't want to get stuck in the snowbank. For whatever reason, driving examiners do not like pushing cars out of the ditch. If something happens and you get stuck, they will just get out of the car and they'll just walk back to the DMV. I have seen them do it. I have seen them be in a car with a student. The student gets into a crash. They will get out of the car and they will walk back to the DMV. They don't want anything to do with it if you get stuck. So it is less exact. You just have to get in behind the car in front of you. You don't have to stop at the correct stopping position at stop sign intersections. You just have to come up, stop before the sidewalk, give way to any pedestrians, and then creep out until you can see. And I do say creep out until you can see and then proceed when the way is clear. Okay, you can drive a bit slower on residential streets because they're covered with snow and ice. In the wintertime, they're going to clear the main roads first. They're going to not get to the residential streets and the suburban streets until later that day or maybe even until the next day. Then they're not going to take you into the residential streets for the most part if it is snowing and icy. They're going to stick to the main roads, which will help you out. Make sure that you have good tires on your vehicle. Make sure that you have proper traction. As I said with Gavin, I didn't realize when we went out in his aunt's SUV the first time that the tires were bald. Make sure that there's good tires on the vehicle. Steel-studded tires if there's hard pack or running up to the ski hill, your parents' car or whatever it is. Make sure that they're properly inflated. Most cars after 2012, I'm guessing, all have tire pressure monitoring systems. So if you have a tire that is low on air, make sure that you get it filled up, get that fixed, get that sensor fixed and whatnot. Don't have a check engine light on when you go down for your driver's test because the examiner will do a mini pre-trip on your vehicle. They're going to make sure that the lights work, the signals work, the brake lights work, the horn works, windshield wipers, washer fluid. So do a pre-trip inspection before you head down to the DMV on your vehicle and make sure everything works. Make sure that the seat on the passenger side is secure, the seat belt works. I have had students that have been denied their driver's test because the seatbelt didn't work on the passenger side. So make sure that that works. The door opens and closes from the inside and the outside. There's no chips or cracks or breaks in the windshield, the glass, and everything's safe. Do that because you don't want to be denied your driver's test for something simple like a brake light out that you could easily fix. If you can wield a screwdriver, it's easy to fix a brake light on your vehicle. As well, make sure that your license and registration are valid. Fortunately, I've had students who've taken their parents' car and the registration or the insurance has lapsed. And of course, you can't take the vehicle out because it's not insured. Dam gum and ice, get off the brake, get off the throttle, steer the vehicle in the direction that you want to go. If you can't get traction and it's slippery, move the vehicle to the right, out of the tracks, the main ruts where everybody else is driving, and you will be able to find traction. One of the black ice videos on Twitter, where the woman bailed. She literally opened the door and threw herself out of the car as the car went off the road into the shoulder of the road. Had she stayed in the vehicle, by the time she hit the shoulder of the road, she would have got traction and she would have been able to bring the vehicle to a stop. But she hits the shoulder of the road, opens the door and bails, just gets out of the car, which was, somewhat comical. But this is what I'm saying. Don't give up. Wear your seatbelt in the wintertime so that you can control the vehicle in an emergency situation and move the vehicle to the outside of the lane to try and find traction and get your vehicle stopped. I can't see you. Okay. Windshield wipers. Have good windshield wipers on your vehicle. Make sure that you have winter washer fluid in the reservoir. Minus 40 degrees Fahrenheit, minus 40 degrees Celsius. And know how to use the windshield wipers, the windshield washer fluid. Activate that. The defrost and heater controls. Make sure that you know how to do those to keep the glass clear while you're driving in the wintertime. And Corey will put up the video on how to clear the ice and snow off your vehicle and how to defrost the glass on the vehicle, because You'll have to know how to do that in the wintertime. So 3 secondary controls that you absolutely must know before you head down to the DMV. Know how to turn on the headlights, the high-low beams, know how to turn on the defrost. In the summertime, it'll be the air conditioning, and know how to turn on the windshield washer, or the windshield wipers, and the washer fluid. Those 3 secondary controls to pass your driver's test in the wintertime. Okay, you got to get her stopped. Drive for the conditions of the road. And many people come back to me over the years in the wintertime and ask me, well, how fast do I drive? Because obviously you can't drive the posted speed limit. The posted speed limit is under ideal traffic conditions. If it's snowing, it's slippery, there's ice on the roads, those are not ideal conditions, so therefore you must slow down. As a general rule, keep up with traffic flow. If roads are bad and snow covered and it is snowing and it's treacherous out, traffic flow is going to be slow, very slow. So for example, if it's 60-mile-an-hour highway that you're on, most of the time traffic flow will be 30 or 40 miles an hour depending on conditions of the roadway. Just go with traffic flow. But again, keep your 3 to 4 second following distance, because if you're not near anything, it's less likely that you're going to hit something. If you do begin to lose control or lose traction, get your foot off the accelerator, get your foot off the brake, and steer the vehicle in the direction that you want to go. Most of the time, just releasing the accelerator is going to regain control, and you're going to regain control because the vehicle is slowing down, and in the act of slowing down, it's also going to regain traction and allow you to regain control of your vehicle. You got to do the work. Start in a parking lot, work in a parking lot on snow and ice, preferably. Then you can get a feel for the steering wheel, the accelerator, and the brake, and how that's going to react when you step on the brake pedal, when you turn the steering wheel, or you give it too much throttle and the tires begin to spin, and what that feels like on snow and ice conditions. Steer the vehicle in the direction you want to go. Get it to understeer, get it to oversteer. I believe Corey's also put the video up on learning how to drive in the wintertime. Basically, I went down and did some donuts in the parking lot. If you want to learn how to drive in the wintertime, that's going to be your best avenue of learning, is getting into a parking lot and excessive acceleration, excessive braking, excessive steering, and figuring out how the vehicle responds when you do those things when you're driving. Okay, so learn how the vehicle responds when you lose traction on a snow-covered parking lot. So in conclusion, take your driver's test in the wintertime. Don't postpone your test until next spring because you're a little bit afraid of what's going to happen when you're driving, or your parents are saying to you, oh my God, you're going to die. Your uncle and your aunt and everybody else and all the rhetoric on the radios and whatnot is all saying you're going to die in the wintertime. Many, many people have learned how to drive in the wintertime and live to tell the tale, and they have a higher skill set than those that learn how to drive in the wintertime. One technique, for example, braking and steering. Those students that learn how to drive in the summertime get lazy. They brake and steer at the same time, and they can get away with it. You can't get away with that in the wintertime, so therefore you're going to have a higher skill set. The test in the wintertime is less exact. You can drive slower. You don't have to get 8 to 12 inches from the curb. You simply have to get in behind the vehicle in front of you. You don't have to stop at the correct stopping position at stop sign intersections. You just have to come up, stop before the sidewalk, and then creep out until you can see, and then proceed at two-way stop sign intersections. Examiners are more chill, and they're going to give you kudos for learning how to drive in the wintertime. Roads will be fine 90% of the time, and if roads are bad, or there is snow and ice and it is storming, they will postpone your test. Take your driver's test in the wintertime. I cannot encourage you enough to do that and become a safer, smarter driver. Let us know down in the comments if you are going to be taking your driver's test in the wintertime. And remember, pick the best answer, not necessarily the right answer. Corey's put up some videos there to help you out. Shoulder checking videos to pass your driver's test, the playlist, the 4 videos that you absolutely need to see. Automatic fails, most common mistakes on a driver's test, and 4 must-have skills. There's another video there as well. Unexpected events on a driver's test. Those 4 videos will definitely help you out to pass your driver's test in the wintertime. Secondary controls that you need to know. Corey's put up that video as well, so excellent. 7X, hello, I just saw the accident here in Port Coquitlam not long ago, and it bothers me why people drive so fast in the winter. Also, it's raining here, so I don't know why people are in a hurry. 7X, people are always in a hurry. That's just part and parcel of driving. Get their itis. It's the same thing that sank the Titanic. Ship captains were under tremendous pressure to make the crossing from England to New York in faster and faster times. And that was the same pressure that the captain of the Titanic was under, and was caused him to strike an iceberg and sink the unsinkable ship. And this is why we have traffic crashes. So many people get their itis. We're in a hurry. We need to get there. And it's the same, losing traction on ice. And I've done the same thing myself. You get in a hurry. You're late leaving and you're rushing to get somewhere. And unfortunately, it happens. The car, I saw airbags flew out. I don't know if they're going so fast. So if the airbags are coming out, generally they're going to survive. So that's one of the safety features that has definitely improved survivability of traffic crashes, which is a good thing. Those definitely in combination with seatbelts for sure. Marion, sounds about right. People are in such a hurry. It's crazy. I know I am always very aware of surroundings at intersections. Yes, at intersections. 40% of crashes happen at intersections. MIT, map intersections and track road users. Where are they going? What are they doing? What is happening? Situational awareness at intersections. And know that in the wintertime, intersections are going to be more slippery than other sections of the roadway, owing to the fact that cars are coming up and they're stopping, they're sliding. And as they're sliding, they're creating friction. The byproduct of friction is heat. They're melting the snow and ice a little bit, and you get a layer of water on top of the snow and ice. The proper procedure in the wintertime or on compromised traction when approaching an intersection is to slow down back from the intersection and then creep up to the intersection and stop where you actually want to get stopped. Don't come rushing up to the intersection and then hoping at the last second that you're going to get enough traction that you can get the vehicle stopped. Braking in the wintertime is different than braking in the summertime. 104, I always leave way more time than I need to get to where I'm going, especially important in wintertime and so much more relaxing. Yes, 104, you're awesome. And, usually I do the same thing as well. I leave more time because you're going to have to get out. You're going to have to get the vehicle started. If there's snow, you're going to have to clear off the snow and ice off the vehicle. Let it run for a couple of minutes. So you just need more time in the winter. And so take note of the weather and what is happening outside. In addition to that, if you're driving on ice and snow, know that it is going to be more slippery if the temperature is around freezing, 32 degrees Fahrenheit, 0 degrees Celsius. If it's super cold, more traction, the better for you. I mean, yes, it's going to take you a bit longer to get your vehicle going and get yourself going because it's super cold in the vehicle. But again, you don't have to let it idle. You can start it up, clean the snow and ice off. The 3 minutes that it takes you to clean the snow and ice off is long enough, and then you can drive the vehicle moderately until it actually warms up. And I had a couple of people commenting about that. One person was saying that they do let it warm up when it gets to minus 30 degrees Celsius. And yes, when it gets to minus 30 degrees Celsius, yeah, you do need to let it warm up 3 to 5 minutes because it's just the vehicle is not warming up at all. 2 or 3 years ago when we drove to Calgary in the wintertime, we got to Golden and it was minus 35 degrees in Golden. I started the vehicle up. I let it run for probably 15 minutes before we started driving because I started it up, I let it idle, and then I pulled up. We got the luggage, loaded the luggage in, got in the car, and we drove. And we drove from Golden to Banff, which is an hour. And after an hour, the buggy it was still not warm. There was still no heat coming out of it because it was just that cold. And if any of you watch Ice Road Truckers, when they prepare those trucks, now you have to keep in mind that these are diesel engines, and diesel engines do not run as hot as a gasoline engine. They put a wrap underneath the suspension, and so basically the whole bottom of the motor is closed in, the radiator is closed off, and the hood is closed in. So the engine is completely sealed on those diesel trucks. There is no air coming through that engine compartment at all in the wintertime to get heat out of those trucks. And so, you know, what I said to this person, that they let their vehicle warm up in the wintertime, and this is the same thing that I'm going to do next week when we head to Calgary, because we're heading to Calgary to catch the plane to Montreal. It's supposed to go down to minus 25. This time I'm taking some cardboard with me, and I'm going to put it down in front of the radiator to stop the airflow coming through the radiator to try and get some heat out of the motor. Now, if you do that in the wintertime and you put cardboard down in front of the radiator to increase heat coming off the engine, just keep an eye on your keep an eye on your temperature gauge inside your vehicle and make sure that your engine doesn't overheat. Because if it goes up like it's minus 10 and you got cardboard in front of the radiator, the engine could potentially overheat. The other thing to listen for in the wintertime, if you do that where you put cardboard in front to try and get some heat out of the engine when it's super cold outside, listen for the fans kicking on. Okay? Because if the engine starts to heat up, the fans are electric and they will kick in. And if you're paying attention, you can hear them kick in. It's kind of like when your air conditioning unit kicks in the summertime. Now, I know in the buggy that it kicks in because it's only 125 horsepower. And when the air conditioning unit is on, it is pulling 3 or 4 horsepower to the engine. And I know that the air conditioning is on. Now, most of you, you know, you're running modern vehicles and you got way more horsepower than that, and you're not even going to notice that the air conditioning is on. But that's the thing. If it is minus 30 and you're putting cardboard in front of the radiator, just keep an eye on the temperature, the engine temperature, to know that you're going to be okay and you're not going to overheat your vehicle. Marion, not okay. Saw the accident long ago. Canada has a complex winter, which means it snows a lot, but here in the lower mainland, it rains out of snow or rain, which one drivers always crash at. 7X, it's not either one of those. It's not rain or snow. It's the summertime. June, July, and August. 100 deadliest days on our roadways everywhere in North America. It is a myth. It is a lie. It is misnomer that people think that driving in rain, driving in inclement conditions, driving in snow and ice is more dangerous than driving in the summertime. It's not. And all the statistics bear it out. The states, the United States, Louisiana, New Mexico, Alabama, Arkansas, these are the states with the highest crash rates. The states that do not have summer are the states that do not have winter, the states that do not get snow and ice. The states with the lowest crash rates are the states, in fact, that do get snow and ice. And this is what I'm trying to tell you. It is a lie. It is misinformation that people are telling you that it is more treacherous to drive in the wintertime. People pay attention in the wintertime. They have what is the word I'm looking for? They have a risk. They know the risk in the wintertime when they're driving. They know that it's bad out. They know that the roads are treacherous. They pay attention to what's going on. In the summertime, they get lackadaisical, they get distracted, they're not paying attention, and they have a very high crash rate because they're not paying attention to driving. It's optimism bias. We're going to be just fine. You're not going to be just fine. 48, you're right. Hence the high rates in places like Jamaica. Yes. Hypervigilance. Yes. 48. Thank you for that. Hypervigilance. When it's snowing, when it's raining, when it's inclement weather, you're driving in fog and those types of things. You have hypervigilance, and people are paying attention when they're driving. They're not paying attention to the same level at all in the summertime when roads are clear. And we know that most crashes happen on clear days, moderate traffic, ideal road conditions. That there's nothing wrong. There's no mechanical danger. Those types of things. So, the information that you are going to die in the wintertime on snow and ice is not true at all. It's completely, utterly false. Now, that's not to say that you don't need to pay attention. You don't need good tires on your vehicle, and that you need to be paying attention to managing space around your vehicle and those types of things. You do. But most of the time in the wintertime, you're going to be just fine. Marion, so what causes those huge pileups on the highways in the States when all the snow comes? Marion, those are rare. Those are incredibly rare. But because they happen, and they get so much media attention, they have a higher, people have more acute awareness of those things going on. It's the same thing as people, if you ask people, okay, are you more afraid of dying from a shark attack or are you more afraid of dying in a car crash? People are going to say to you, oh my God, I'm more afraid of dying in a shark attack. But the chances of somebody actually dying in a shark attack are like less than 1% of 1%. It's minuscule. I mean, unless you're surfboarding, off the coast of Adelaide, Australia, then potentially, yeah, you could get eaten by a shark. But most people are like 1,000,000 times more likely to be killed in a car crash than ever being bitten by a shark. It's just so rare. So pileups on freeways. And the other thing about pileups on freeways is very few people get injured in those crashes. Like there's very few fatalities. It was like the one on I-40 in Indiana a couple of weeks ago. Nobody was killed in those crashes. But they happen because situations come along where there's a curve on the road. Generally, there's fog, and then one person collides into the person in front, and there's a cluster of vehicles, and one thing happens, and you get a snowball effect, pardon the pun, on the collision. But it gets a great deal of media attention. But these freeway crashes, these freeway pileups happen not very often at all. Not very often at all. But they get a great deal of media attention when they do happen. 7X Marion, agree there was a crash yesterday at Maple Ridge. Yes, but okay. You guys are having a conversation. Corey, yep. Was just about to say that. It's super rare, but a spectacle, so social media and the news amplifies it. Exactly what Corey just said. Corey was much more succinct in saying what I was trying to say. 48, if you have 4x4 and snow tires, you should be good. 48, yes, absolutely. Manage your speed, keep space around your vehicle, have your 3 to 4 second following distance. You're going to be just fine in the wintertime. Marion, what, you don't have to apologize. What are you apologizing for, my friend? Okay. No, because it's a valid question. It's a great question, Marion, about freeway pileups. Is exactly what Corey just said and said it much better than I did. They get so much media attention that people think that they happen more than they actually do. They're rare. And I mean, I can think of 3 or 4 of them. You think of the hundreds of thousands of miles of interstate and freeway that we have in North America and how many times that happens. Once, maybe twice a year. Whereas if you took all of the traffic crashes in one province, in the province of British Columbia, for example, and you put them in one place at one time, you would have a national emergency. Because it's just incredible how many traffic crashes actually happen. And I've talked about this in terms of the United States of America and its poor traffic safety record. More people in the United States of America are killed every 18 months in traffic crashes than all of the soldiers sent to war in the Vietnam conflict between 1963 and 1975. So a 12-year war, fewer soldiers were killed than are killed on American roads every 18 months. So that just tells you how big the problem is. But the problem with traffic crashes is people don't really care unless it affects them personally. B, they're so short-lived and they're isolated, and most of the time emergency crews have it cleaned up within an hour, maybe 2 hours, unless there's a fatality or 2 fatalities. Then they'll close the road down for a day or 2. But it affects so few people that it just does not garner the social media attention that it would otherwise, as it does in a major pileup on a freeway. So all of that is going on there in terms of the psychology of crashes on our roadways. 7X, people don't care when they are driving. I always see people just staring at their phones, and no matter what you say on this, people are still going to crash. 7X, I'm not disagreeing with you. People are going to crash because they're distracted. They're not paying attention. They have poor driver training. Absolutely. So you're not wrong. You're absolutely not wrong. However, in the wintertime, most people are hyper vigilant, as was, I think it was Tyler that said that people are hyper vigilant in the wintertime. They're not looking at their phones. They're not distracted. They're not listening to a podcast and those types of things. They are paying attention to what's going on, and they're keeping themselves safer when they're driving in the wintertime because they're managing space well. They're going slow. They're ensuring that they have good traction and, making sure that their vehicle is in good nick and those types of things. Epic, my friend, please carry a snow brush because in some states you find failure to do this is something that examiners for states that have this type of law will look for. Yes, snow brush and Epic. It is almost all provinces and states that have this law that you have to completely clean all the snow and ice off your vehicle. And this was the other point that I wanted to make about going down for your driver's test. Ensure that you clear all the snow and ice off the vehicle. And if you're short, go get a ladder. Get somebody who's taller that you can get all the snow off the top of the vehicle because you don't want to show up with any amount of snow on your vehicle for your driver's test. Keep yourself safe. Keep others safe and make sure that you are not denied your driver's test because you have too much snow and ice on the vehicle when you show up. And as Epic said, it is the law as well. And I did ask my mate Phil about this, who's a police officer who I train jiu-jitsu with, and he's a traffic cop. And he said in his years of doing it, he's only fined a couple of people for not clearing ice and snow off their vehicles. And, those images are on social media as well, where people, there's snow, the vehicle is completely covered in snow. And I mean, of course, you don't know whether it's AI slop or it's being staged or those types of things. They have a little hole like this big in the glass that they can look out, it's kind of like a periscope that they're driving their vehicle with. But, to be safe on the roadways, do take the time to clear all the glass and all the lights on your vehicle at minimum. And I know that people will come back to me and say, oh, there are people who don't clear the snow and ice off their vehicle. There are lots of people who do not clear the snow and ice off the roof of their vehicle. It's a matter of fact. It's going to happen, okay? It's just a reality of driving. It's like the fact that people are going to tailgate. It's just a reality of driving. To protect yourself so that you don't get ice flying off vehicles in front of you, maintain your 3 to 4 second following distance so that you're far enough back that if ice and snow does come off the vehicle in front of you, it's not going to impede your visibility. It's not going to smash your windscreen and those types of things. And in many situations, okay, the snow and ice is not going to come off in chunks. That's unlikely. It's going to just come off like it does on a snowdrift. Tyler, did I miss you? Can you explain failed to anticipate potential hazards? All right, Tyler, thank you for reminding me for that. Failed to anticipate potential hazards. Okay, so you weren't reading traffic patterns and understanding the actions of individual road users on the roadway. For example, you're driving along the roadway and there's a pedestrian half a block up the road. They're approaching a crosswalk and they're going to push the button. There's a high probability when you're driving that if there is a pedestrian approaching a marked crosswalk with lights, that they are going to push the button and the lights are going to activate. Therefore, you as the driver half a block back, you're scanning, you're looking, you're interpreting traffic patterns, and you're understanding the actions of individual road users, and you're going to begin to slow down and bring your vehicle to a stop because there is a pedestrian approaching the marked crosswalk. That would be failed to anticipate potential hazards. The potential hazard is the pedestrian at the crosswalk. Those are things that you need to understand when you're driving. Another example of that would be that you are approaching an intersection. You did not see the light turn to green, so therefore you're assuming that it is a stale green. There is lots of traffic piled up, or lots of traffic stopped waiting for the traffic light to turn on the cross streets. There are no pedestrians in the intersection, and the hand is flashing on the pedestrian crossing. Therefore, you can assume with a high probability that the light that you are about to go through is going to turn yellow and then turn red because of those other landmarks. You did not come to a stop. You went through the intersection and the light you went through the intersection on a yellow light and it turned to red as you were moving through the intersection, that is failed to anticipate potential hazards on the roadway. So those are a couple of examples of failed to anticipate. So one of the skills that you need to learn, and this is probably the most critical skill for safe driving, is driving, interpreting traffic patterns, and then understanding the actions and the potential actions of road users on the roadway, and mostly at intersections, because more than 40% of crashes happen in intersections. So mapping intersections, tracking road users, and that will help you to pass your driver's test. Was this something that they gave you feedback, Tyler, when you took your driver's test? So yeah, just sorry, I haven't said that in a long time, but I just need to say that to people. If I don't see your question, because there's a lot of comments here and a lot of text going on, and just send me a reminder. I definitely help you out. I want to do as best I can to answer people's questions. 7X, is easy to pass your driver's test in Vancouver in the winter because it's raining? Yes, but again, 7X, just going back to wintertime, driving in the rain, make sure that you have good windshield wipers on your vehicle. Make sure that you know how to turn on the defrost and keep the glass clear so that you can see and drive safely and you can pass your driver's test first time there in the wintertime. If you have any other questions, leave a comment down in the comment section. Do not postpone your driver's test until next spring. There are so many reasons that you should take your driver's test in the wintertime. First and foremost, you'll have a higher skill set. You will have a better understanding of the vehicle, and you will be a safer, smarter driver. Test is not as exact. If the roads are going to be bad, and there's bad weather, they will postpone it to another day until you're safe. And it's only about 10% of the time in the wintertime that it's actually snowing and there's going to be snow and ice on the roadways. Good tires. All vehicles have excellent drivetrains to provide top-notch traction in the wintertime. So you're going to be safe. You're going to get a test date, and driving examiners are going to be less stressed. And remember, pick the best answer, not necessarily the right answer. Have a great night. All the very best. Bye now.